friends. So I'm gonna be starting a little weekend reading vlog now. Today is Friday. If you watched my last vlog, it's been a week now since my surgery and I'm doing a lot better. I've kind of been like very up and then very down. The day after my surgery, I was feeling amazing because I was still on the good hospital drugs. But then the next day, I like crashed. I was in so much pain. I was like sobbing in my parents' bathroom. I had a total like breakdown. So I've kind of just been laying low since then. But I'm doing a little kind of 24-hour readathon this weekend. So I thought I would start a little weekend reading vlog. Let me see, what can I update you that I've read since we last spoke? This has been my best reading month ever. I've now read 22 books this month, which the most books I've ever read in 1 month in my life is 22 books. So I'm about to surpass my most read month ever. From now on, anytime anyone asks me, Riley, how do you read so much? What's the secret to reading so much? What's the key? Break your foot. Break your foot. That is the answer. That's the answer. So never ask me that question again because that will be my answer. Break your foot. What can I update of what I've read since we last talked? Oh, I read Sister Maiden Monster, which I had hauled in my last vlog. 1 star. 1 star. I need to tell you guys, I do not recommend that book. I do not recommend it. I wish that I had read it before I posted my last vlog so I could tell you guys that I do not recommend it. I felt like it was a type of horror that was just trying to be like overly shocking and gross just for shock value and not for like substance. And then there was tons of things that were just like gross to me. There was a particular quote in there about one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims, and it names the victim and says something really disgusting about him. I even posted the quote onto my Discord to like ask if I was just being sensitive about it, and like everybody agreed with me that it was like totally out of line. So yeah, I do not recommend that book at all. Even without that quote, it was not a good book. But then with the quote, I think it's offensive. So don't recommend that. Ooh, I read Hellbent. I read Hellbent. That's the last book that I finished. I gave it 5 stars. I think that I liked it more than Ninth House, but it was so good. And I've kind of been in a little bit of a book hangover since then. I haven't picked up anything else. I kind of needed just like a little bit of a break after I finished that because I felt like anything that I picked up directly after that, I just wasn't gonna enjoy, because Hellbent was amazing. So yeah, I don't necessarily have a TBR for this weekend. I do wanna reread This Is How You Lose the Time War. I have the audiobook on hold from my library and I wanted to reread it for years. So I'm gonna do that this weekend. I've kind of thrown out my entire monthly TBR and I'm really just like going based on vibes. I don't know, am I a mood reader right now? I think I might be. I think I might be. The last time that I tried to be a mood reader, I failed completely. I think because I was really overthinking it. Like the key to mood reading, I'm learning, is do not think at all. No thoughts, just vibes. And that's what I'm going on. Anytime I think I want to pick up a book, I just pick up that book and I read it. I don't even think about it. And I've been enjoying it. And maybe that's also why I'm reading so much this month. I don't know. Tonight though, I think that I want to finish the Murderbot series. I have 1 book left and then I'm gonna be caught up. So I wanna listen to that tonight because I'm loving that series so much. Yeah, I'll just see where the vibe takes me after that. But I am back at my house. I have been at my parents' house for the past week since my surgery, but I was finally feeling like good enough that I think I can be like on my own at my house. So I'm excited to be back. I was getting a little homesick. Which I love my parents' house, but like, I just wanted to be back in my own house. I'm gonna read the next Murderbot book. And then I also need to catch up on Ted Lasso because I just finished Vanderpump Rules. I'm all caught up to like the most current episode. And that was like literally taking over all of my TV time for the past month. So now that I'm done with that, I can go back to all like my other shows that I was watching, and Ted Lasso is next up. I think I'm like 2 episodes behind. So I'm gonna watch those, read Murderbot, make dinner, and have just like a nice little cozy night as my first night back in my house. I also just wanted to pop in here to give like a little readathon announcement. I am co-hosting a readathon called Escape the Readathon that is taking place through the entire month of May. I will leave a link to the video on Lexi's channel, who is the mastermind behind it and put it all together, but it is essentially an escape room based readathon where you don't find out the challenges ahead of time and you have to complete challenges to unlock doors and travel to different rooms before you finally escape this haunted house. It's such an amazing concept. So like I said, I will leave the link to the video explaining it all in the description. I would love to have you join the Vacationers team, which is the team that I am one of the hosts for. So definitely check that out if you are interested in joining a very fun readathon. If you're wondering how many books can fit in my scooter basket, the answer is 5. Which, before I forget, I do have a little book haul. I got a couple books in the past week and I put them all in my little cart. Yeah, these are all books that I bought on Pango Books. I kind of went on a little Pango book buying spree, so over the next couple of days / week, I'm gonna be getting a lot of stuff. But I was like, you know what? Treat yourself, you have earned it. So I got The Scourge Between Stars by Nuss Brown, which is a sci-fi horror book that sounded really good. Sci-fi horror is just like one of my favorite things, and I've been in such a sci-fi mood lately, especially with like binging Murderbot. And then I also found a book that I have been wanting to get ever since I saw it come out because the cover like sold me, and that is Big Swiss by Jen Begin. Look at this cover, is this not amazing? I don't really know, like this is literary fiction, I think. It's a queer book about a sapphic woman. She's a sex therapist who becomes obsessed with one of her patients, and it just sounds so good. It sounds like gay women doing bad things, which is my favorite genre. Then I got a manga. This is Happiness Volume 1, and I believe that this is from the same author who did Blood on the Tracks, I think, which is a manga that I recently binged. I'm trying to get into manga a little bit, so I recently binged Blood on the Tracks. I read a couple volumes in Spy X Family, really enjoying them. So I saw this on Pango and decided to pick it up. I believe it's about a vampire. This is actually the first manga that I've ever owned, which is exciting. And then I also got the first 2 books in this vampire romance series that I have been recommended, and that is Lore and Lust. So this is book 1 and book 2. I've been told that this is just like a really cute, cozy, queer vampire romance that I'm really going to enjoy. So I saw these on Pango for like super cheap and decided to get them. That is my little book haul from the week. Good morning. So last night I finished the 6th Murderbot book. I did skip book number 5 because basically the whole series are novellas, but then book 5 is a full-length novel. And I was reading on Goodreads that the 6th book goes back to the novella format, and it actually takes place before book 5, which is like a separate plot. I don't know, I got confused. I was like, why is there randomly a full-length book in the middle of this novella series? That makes no sense. So I was just like, let me skip that. I don't really want to read a full-length Murderbot book, to be honest. I like the novella format. I realize I have no idea what any of the titles of any of the books in this series are. But this one was Fugitive Telemetry, and I actually really liked this one. I think so far my favorite book in the series was book 2 because of that like robot friendship, but this book was a murder mystery, and it was Murderbot coming across this like dead body and then spending the whole book trying to solve that person's murder. So it was really fun, and I really liked that one. So I think my favorites are 2 and 6. So I need to start something this morning. So I was kind of just scrolling through my Libby app to see like what was available, what audiobooks were available, and I came across this book that I'm pretty sure I have heard people talk about in passing all the time, and I've just never paid attention to anything anyone says about it. And it's called Several People Are Typing. And basically what this book is it's a book that's entirely told in Slack messages, like workplace Slack messages. So it's all like DMs, and it's about one of the employees getting sucked into the computer and into Slack. It sounds really bizarre, but I'm kind of intrigued. So I downloaded the audiobook, and I think I'm gonna listen to that this morning. It's pretty short. It's like a 3-4 hour audiobook. So I'm gonna listen to that. I have like no expectations for it, but it sounds like it could be really weird and like something that I'm into. I finished the, what is it called? Several People Are Typing. And I actually really liked that. I don't know what I was expecting. It was very, very weird. And yeah, it was told entirely in Slack messages. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. One of the employees got sucked into Slack and like became the Slack bot. And then there was like another employee who like disappeared and only one employee remembered her, and all of the messages in Slack about her disappeared, so he couldn't even prove that she ever existed. Then there was 2 other employees who like get a virus and can only talk in emojis. I don't know, it was super bizarre, but I enjoyed it. It was a good like quick read. So now I think I'm gonna start Convenience Store Woman, which is a book that was recommended to me a lot when I asked for translated book recs. This is a book that was originally published in Japanese and translated to English, and it's about a woman who works in a convenience store. I don't know much else about it. I'm halfway into Convenience Store Woman, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if it's ever gonna like be said on paper, but I'm getting the vibe that the main character in this book is autistic. She talks a lot about how her whole life she has just never felt normal. Everyone around her tells her she's not normal. She doesn't really know how to act like a person. She doesn't really get it. And then she gets this job at a convenience store and is given a manual on how to be a convenience store employee, how, you know, what to say, how to act, how to talk, what to do. This manual is like the first example of like being a person that she's ever been given, where it's like all written out for her and she understands. So she becomes a convenience store employee, and that is her whole identity, and her whole life revolves around being this convenience store employee. So yeah, I'm like halfway into it, but I do want to take a little break and have lunch, and I actually want to watch a movie. I don't normally watch movies during the day, but I think I'm going to right now because I saw that the movie Ghosted with Chris Evans and Ana de Armas came out. It looked like it's either gonna be really good or really terrible. So I'm gonna watch that while I have lunch, and then I'm going to finish Convenience Store Woman, which I'm really enjoying. So I finished watching Ghosted, and I don't know, like, it wasn't terrible. It didn't feel like a real movie. It felt like an SNL skit of a movie. I don't know how else to explain that other than to say it did not feel like a movie. It felt fake. And it was like very apparent. I don't know if it's because this particular character that Chris Evans was playing felt very Chris Evans-y. So I just felt like I was watching Chris Evans. I never felt like I was watching like him be a character. I don't know. It wasn't bad. It just like also wasn't good. There was also just like endless cameos from like Chris Evans' friends, like his actors who are friends. So it literally just felt like a long SNL skit. So I'm gonna go back to my book, Convenience Store Woman. I have an hour left in the audiobook. And yeah, like I said, I am really enjoying it. One of my goals this year is to read more translated books. So I did actually make a shelf on Goodreads of a bunch of the translated books that I want to read. I keep saying, please give me recommendations of any translated books that you think I would enjoy, because that's like one of my big goals this year, is to read more. I'll show you what I have on my shelf. I've already read Confessions, so that was like one that I had read earlier in the year. I'll put it up on the screen here, but here's my Goodreads shelf. I have Lonely Castle in the Mirror, I've Never Known Men, In the Miso Soup, Cursed Bunny, The Memory Theater, Tender is the Flesh, A Winter's Promise, Out. These are a lot of ones that have been recommended to me, Little Eyes. So if you have any more recommendations, please let me know. Okay, that didn't take very long. I finished Convenience Store Woman, and I really liked this. This was one that was recommended to me in one of my comments, and I really enjoyed this. I mean, this is like one of those books that like really doesn't have a lot of plot. It's really about character. I've said this all the time, like I'm much more of a character reader than like a plot reader. Actually, wait, hold on. I saw a TikTok from Katie Robert recently who was saying that there's actually no such thing as a book with no plot. It's just books that have external plots versus internal plots. And when people say this book has no plot, what they mean really is that the plot is internal. And I actually really liked that. I've never thought about it that way. So I do kind of want to refocus what I mean when I say this book has no plot. Because the plot is the internal development or journey that the character has. And I don't know, I'd never heard it put that way, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it's really about her as a character and navigating life, sort of learning to live life that's true to herself and not feel the pressure and the weight of other people's expectations of how she should live her life and how she should be, when that doesn't feel natural or true to herself. And I just really enjoyed that. Like I said, I felt like this character displayed traits of potentially being autistic, which never came up in the book, but that was just how I personally read her to be, and I really liked it. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I would definitely read something else by this author. So I think next I am going to start my reread of This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I read it for the first time in like 2018, 2019. And what was funny about me reading this book is that I actually almost DNF'd it. I was like 20% into the book and I was like, what the fuck am I reading? This makes no sense. I hate it, but I pushed through and it became one of my all-time favorite books. And this is also a book that I feel like I do not blame people for DNFing or disliking. It's one of the most absurdly complex stories that I've ever read, to the point where I'm gonna do my best at trying to explain it. I don't know if I will succeed. I've never really been successful in fully explaining the plot. I've always just explained it as like Killing Eve, but they're time-traveling pen pals. That is like as descriptive as I can be. So I'm gonna start my reread of that. I'm very excited, but I am a little bit nervous because, I don't know, just like rereading my favorite books makes me nervous because I'm like, what if I don't love it as much? That would break my heart. But I just have a feeling that's not gonna happen with this one. Okay, so it's actually the next day now. My foot really started to hurt a lot last night, so I went to sleep early. But before I fell asleep, I did finish This Is How You Lose the Time War. I am so happy to report I loved it even more the second time. I feel like this is definitely the type of book that you can get more out of by rereading because, like I said, it's a very complex world and dynamic. It's essentially about these 2 rival time-traveling agents from alternate futures. One of them is a very nature-based future, and the other one is very technological. Both of these alternate futures are at war with each other, and they're sending agents back in time through history to sort of implement different things in the past to set up for their future. So they go down all these different threads. Again, it's super complicated. But you have these 2 rival agents who have sort of been like circling each other for a very long time. They start this like pen pal relationship, which at the very beginning is like antagonistic. And slowly those letters turn into more of a friendship and more of a bond. And this is like the main relationship that they have in their life, is with this other person, and then they end up falling in love. And this is one of the most romantic books that I've ever read. The way that they speak to each other is so beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. And like I said, I feel like this is the type of book that you get more out of on a reread, because the first time you read it, it's hard to wrap your brain around what's happening. But then the second time you read it, once you've grasped the basic concepts and like what is going on, you're really able to just enjoy it for what it is. And I love it so much. I really need these 2 authors to write something else together because they are magic together. It's co-authored, Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. I need something else from them. The way that they just put this out and then never wrote together again, criminal. So then this morning I picked up another book. I saw on my Discord, one of my patrons posted about this book, An Elderly Lady's Up to No Good, and I saw that it is a translated book. It was originally published in Swedish, and this was so fun. It is basically about this elderly woman who's in her 80s, and she lives in this apartment that was like passed down through her family. She basically lives there rent-free, and she just wants to be left alone, but people are circling like fucking vultures and trying to take her apartment from her, trying to, you know, push her out. She's like, screw y'all, no one is taking my apartment from me. I'm gonna murder anyone who tries. So it's literally just about this like old woman killing people who get in her way. And I loved it. I loved it so much. Highly recommend. This is definitely like a new favorite. It's amazing. I need to read the sequel. An elderly lady must not be crossed. Very excited about that. And I can't believe I had never heard of it before. If you want to follow from the perspective of a character who is just so relatable, like yeah, she's killing people, but like the way that I related to her, the way that I would also murder for a rent-free apartment, people just kept bugging her. She just wants to be left alone to live her, you know, the rest of her life in peace in her apartment. And I relate so much. I feel like this was such a hidden gem and I need you all to read it. But that is now gonna be the end of this 24-hour readathon weekend vlog. And I'm totally checking off more books in my goal to read translated books, because 2 of these books are translated. And I feel like not only with wanting to read translated books, but I want to try to hit as many different countries as I can. So of the translated books that I've read this year, 2 of them are from Japan, and now I have Sweden. So I would love to broaden the countries even more, but I'm having a great time with that specific goal. So far, all of the translated books that I've read have been amazing. So I'm very excited. And as I read more, I feel like at some point I will have read enough that I can do a recommendation video. But yeah, I'm having a great time reading translated fiction. Maybe I should just do a whole vlog reading a bunch of translated books. I feel like as I am, you know, recovering over the next couple of months, my vlogs are gonna be much more casual in style, like this one and my previous one. So I hope you guys like that, as opposed to more of like my themed vlogs that I spend, you know, months working on. But I don't know, maybe you guys like the more casual, chill, less polished vlogs. So thank you guys for watching, and if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon, where I post tons of exclusive content, including fun readathons, weekly reading sprints, game nights. We have a monthly book club and discussion, a private Discord server, and tons of exclusive videos that you can only find on Patreon. I would love to have you join us over there. Tonight, when this video goes up, we are actually doing our very first puzzle and crafting night, which I'm so excited about. Thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you in my next one. Bye.